Hey everyone, very good morning to all of you and welcome back again. So in this chart program, we are already learning very important and scoring topics in different subjects. So till now we have completed small topics in which generally candidates are having any kind of confusion, or generally the topics were those topics in which in a lesser time duration you can upgrade your skills and hence you can perform better in the final NEET exam. Okay. Now today, if you remember in the last lecture we have talked about the spring mass system. Today also we are going to take our journey of spring mass system or oscillations SHM up to a greater extent. So I will try to start the interaction with a quick recap of whatever we have learned yesterday. Okay, so let us try to talk about it. So first of all, I have yesterday talked about the spring force. Spring force formula is given by Ks, spring constant, into minus x. Then we have talked about the spring potential energy. The spring potential energy U, that will be given by half Ks x square, or that can be written as F square by 2k, spring force square by 2k. That can also be written as Fs into x by 2. Fs into x by 2, where x is not the length. X is not the length. That is the disturbance from the natural length. So that is L final minus L natural. Why you are taking a modulus, sir? Because it can be the case of extension or it can be the case of compression. So you are interested in how much you have deformed the spring from its natural length. Then if we want to talk about the breaking of springs, breaking of spring. So if this is okay, before that we should be talking about the time period too, time period. So the time period, which is 1 by f, that is 2 pi by omega also, that will be equal to 2 pi under root m by Ks equivalent. Now what do you mean by Ks equivalent? Means if that's a single simple spring, you will say you can take its spring constant. You can take its spring constant K naught here. But if you are having multiple springs and you have a certain set of combination like series combination, parallel combination, or maybe instead of combining you are talking about the breaking of the springs, then the situation will be a bit different. You have to talk about the effective spring constant or effective restoring constant. So here what we are doing is we are dividing this spring into 3 parts, suppose, whose length ratio, this is just the review here. This is all about the revision we are talking about, x ratio, y ratio, z. So here we talked about the kx value. The broken part, x length, will have the new spring constant value, and that will be given by k naught and x plus y plus z by x. Similarly, ky will be equal to k naught x plus y plus z. So basically the spring constant is coming out to be inversely proportional to the length ratio, and similarly your kz will be equal to k naught x plus y plus z by z. Okay, x plus y plus z by z. Okay. Similarly, if we talk about the combination, series and parallel combination. So if you have this series combination, end-to-end joint, the force must be same, disturbance might be different, extensions, compressions might be different, the force must be same. So here the Ks equivalent, the K series equivalent will be equal to, so basically the series combination of spring is similar to the parallel combination of resistors. 1 by Ks equivalent will be given by, that will be 1 by K1 plus 1 by K2 and so on up to 1 by Kn. Alright, if you remember we have learnt it last time. And for two springs in series, you will say the Ks equivalent will be equal to, just like you have two resistors in parallel, K1 K2 by K1 plus K2, and this value will be smaller than the smallest one. You can also talk about for two identical springs, two identical springs, both of them are k naught, k naught, k naught, k naught. If both of them are k naught, k naught, you got k naught square by 2 k naught, and hence the answer will be k naught by 2. For n identical springs, Ks equivalent will be k naught by n, Ks equivalent will be k naught by n. Alright, we have also talked about it. Suppose I want to talk about the parallel combination. Parallel combination of the springs will look like this. Okay, I'm just giving you the review first, then we will proceed forward. This is M naught, this is K1, this is K2, this is K3. So you will say here extension or disturbances must be same. The forces may differ. So the parallel equivalent will be following the same pattern as that of the series combination of resistors. So that will be K1 plus K2. I'm just telling you, see, one is mechanics, one is electromagnetism, or you can say electrical science. They don't have any direct relation in between them. I'm just telling you this. I'm just saying that it is so that it is easy for you to remember how what is the combination pattern of the springs and what are the combination patterns of resistors, like that. So and so on up to Kn. Direct addition, a reciprocal relation, reciprocal addition format, here direct addition format. And what you will say for two springs, you will simply say that this will be given by K1 plus K2. For two identical springs, K naught and K naught, both are going to be K naught and K naught. So it will be 2 K naught. For n identical springs, you will say the final answer will be K naught plus K naught plus K naught n times, and hence it should be n K naught. Keeping it like this, it should be n K naught. Okay, I think these things are clear to you. So basically whatever we have done till yesterday, we have somehow revised it here. Okay, so that's what you need to understand, and here I'm going to highlight this one also. It's very important here. It's very much important for us, and this is all about the breaking of the springs. So we are good with the basic formula. Of force, spring potential energy. We are good with spring force, spring potential energy. We are good with the time period of spring mass oscillation. We can easily talk about the series combination of spring and as well as the parallel combination of springs. Okay. You can just take a screenshot of this, because this slide contains all the important things at one place. So you can just highlight. Now you can take the screenshot here. So every topic has been segregated. These are the things which we have already learnt earlier. Right, good morning. I hope the quick recap is done. Now you are comfortable, you have a basic idea of all the formula which are going to be involved in our further discussion of spring mass system or oscillation. Right, now let us try to talk about the basic problem of calculation of time period. So I'll keep giving different examples to you. So with examples, you will at the end realize that, and if the luck favors, you can get exactly same problem which we are learning today in the final NEET 2025 exam. Okay. So the question is, determine the time period of oscillation. Determine the time period of oscillation. Okay. And the first example to this is given like, I'll keep taking different systems. This is M naught. There are three springs. As you can see, they are connected in series. K, 2K, 3K. K, 2K, 3K. That's the system for you, and you have to talk about the time period of this. Another system what we can take here is that suppose Again, there are three springs. I'm starting from the very basic systems, K, 2K, 3K, and they are attached to the same mass, m0. They are attached to the same mass, m0. Number 3, suppose I say that you have this combination. One is the spring. This is here a massless partition in between. Okay, and there are two springs here. This is also K, this is also K, this is also K, and this is m0. Or it is similar to, or it is that this system is similar to that of, instead of having one to the roof, you can even have these two to the roof, K and K, and then there is a massless partition, and then there is another K, and here you have this m0. So these systems, these both systems, like diagram 1 and diagram 2, are going to behave identically. Okay, so this is like what we are going to deal with. Another one I can take, number 4. Suppose there is a spring of spring constant K0. Okay, and you are breaking it into 3 parts, A, B, C, such that the length ratio is 1:2:3, such that the length ratio is 1:2:3. And now what you are doing is you are connecting the portion B, to the mass, and now the mass is oscillating. You have to find out that what will be the time period. So if you notice carefully, I have somehow taken different conditions in front of you with basic examples. First is the series combination, second one is the parallel combination, third one is a combination of series and parallel combination. Few of them are in series, few of them are in parallel in the same question, and the last one deals with the breaking of the spring. Okay, breaking of the spring. So let's start the discussion one by one. First of all, I am talking about this problem, this particular problem. Here I will say all these 3 are clearly visible to be in the series combination. If they are in the series combination, you will write 1 by K series, that will be 1 by K plus 1 by 2K plus 1 by 3K. Further, if you want to solve it, you will say the LCM is going to be 6K, and it will be 6 plus 3 plus 2. But don't forget, this is the value of 1 by Ks. This implies taking reciprocal both sides, Ks will be equal to 6K by 11. So time period will be equal to 2 pi under root m naught by K equivalent, that is 6K by 11. I can definitely further simplify it by taking denominator as numerator and furthermore, but I'll prefer to leave it this way. Why I am preferring to leave it this way? So that at least you will remember that the format is 2 pi under root m by K, where K is the effective equivalent spring constant. Is that fine? Okay. Let me take the another problem for you. Suppose we are talking about this particular problem. So what I can say? I will say K parallel, since all these 3 are clearly visible to be in parallel combination, that will be K1 plus K2 plus K3, direct addition, K plus 2K plus 3K, and hence the final answer is 6K. So you will simply say the time period will be equal to 2 pi under root m0 by 6K. And in fact, they can modify the problem further, that you are taking 3 springs. First of all, then you are connecting them in series, then you are connecting them in parallel, determine the time period ratio. So if you identify from these two, if you clearly see from these two, what you can get is, for the 3 given springs, having K, 2K and 3K, what we can see is T series by T parallel will be equal to, T series by T parallel will be equal to, I think this will be T series, so denominators 11 will come here. Okay, so it is 2 pi same, under root of m0 by 6K is same, but here in the numerator there will be root 11 extra, so it is going to be root 11, I think. Okay, please check the calculation. This is coming out to be root 11. I think we are good with this. Is it fine? So these type of questions can also come. Now, if you know the fundamentals here, there is a variety of problem models that can be framed on the basis of the same thing. So how the examiner manipulates the problem, that is something which is not in our hands. But yes, when we strengthen our fundamentals, then gradually we can also think like examiner. And believe me here, when the psychology of a student matches the psychology of the examiner, then definitely there is nothing much more you are required to do for the subject, because that psychology matching will also come in a stage when you are already good with the fundamentals. You have already gone through the books carefully, thoroughly, you have done a lot of hard work. Okay, and that is the best thing here. You can feel that yes, the moment you read a page, the moment you see a problem, the moment you learn a new concept, you start thinking like, what examiner can think about it, what type of problem can be framed, what is the possibility of all the problem models that can be framed on the basis of a given topic. I hope I am making myself clear. Okay, let's talk about the next one. This one, I told you both are going to behave as same. Since it is a massless partition in between, it is not going to get involved like because of its inertia and this that. It is just separating so that there will be a relatively complex combination appearing in the problem. So what you can see is, if you see this part, so this K and K, these K and K are going to be in parallel combination, and that parallel combination will further, this parallel combination will further be in series to this, Similarly, if you see this K and K here, this K and K here, these are going to behave as parallel combination, and this parallel component, if you combine them in parallel, you will get a spring. That equivalent spring will form a series combination with this one. Okay, series combination with this one. So first of all, I will say the K parallel will be equal to K plus K is equal to 2K. Finally, if you want the K series equivalent, then that will be something into something by something plus something, which means what, sir? Which simply means that here you have to consider two springs. One is the effective combination of these, that is 2K, but that 2K isn't going to be in series with K. So the K series equivalent will be 2K into K by 2K plus K. 2K into K by 2K plus K. This implies K series equivalent will be equal to 2 by 3K. K series equivalent will be equal to 2 by 3K. Okay, that's what you have got. So time period will be equal to 2 pi under root m naught by 2 by 3K. Obviously that can be further simplified, but I am interested in this version of the formula. Okay, I think that's clear. First of all, you have to combine the parallel combination here for this particular question, then that will be in series with the other one. Chaliye, let's talk about the next one. Now this will involve the breaking of spring. This is going to involve the breaking of spring. Subsequently, like there was a spring, you have cut it down in 3 portions. In the subsequent situation, in the next situation, you are connecting the B portion of the spring to this mass. Now what you can talk about it? First of all, I will talk about cut portion. Here KB after cutting, KB cut, that will be equal to actual spring constant K naught x plus y plus z by its length ratio, x plus y plus z plus its length by length ratio. So it is 1 plus 2 plus 3. 1 plus 2 plus 3, and in the denominator that proportion, that ratio will come which is corresponding to B, so that is 2. So ultimately you are getting K naught, and it is 1 plus 2 plus 3, I guess that's 6 by 2, or you can simply say that that is 3 K naught. That is coming out to be 3 K naught. So finally the time period will be equal to 2 pi under root m naught by 3 K naught. Also, so this is the formula, okay, what you were looking for. Also, suppose they want to modify the problem that if you don't cut it, if you talk about the initial spring, if you don't cut it, if you talk about the initial spring and then after the cutting you talk about the final portion B, then how you can relate that? So you will say TB cut will be equal to See, if you don't cut the spring, the time period would have been 2 pi under root m by k naught. 2 pi under root m by k naught. So that is 1 by root 3 times t original. 1 by root 3 times t original. Okay. So after the cut portion B is connected, that final result is coming out to be 1 by root 3 times the t original, because 2 pi under root m by k naught is the original time period. I hope the things are clear to you. You can quickly take the screenshot and then we can talk about some new models. Take the screenshot. Okay. So though the notes will be shared to you in the Telegram group, whose link will be probably given in the description of the video, but still I am telling you every time that you can take the screenshot so that you can just have a quick recap in your free time. Moreover, if you want to learn any other topic taught by me, then you can simply write the name of the physics topic on YouTube search, and then you can write that, suppose you want to talk about the diffraction or interference. So you can write down the interference wave optics taught by Abhilash Jha sir, or interference by Abhilash Jha sir physics. Interference by Abhilash Jha sir physics. In this way, you will get my lectures to learn from them. Okay. And apart from that, our team is constantly working so that in order to deliver you the lectures, so that you and your friends, even if you are staying at home or engaged in some other work right now, then also you can keep learning. Okay. Keep learning and keep performing and maintain the discipline here. Once you maintain the discipline, after that only that will be reflected very soon in your results. Okay. Good morning everyone. Chaliye, let me take you ahead with some more things, more models. So series combination, parallel combination, series and parallel both are appearing, and we are talking about the breaking of the springs. Now let us talk about another one. Suppose we are taking a spring having a spring constant k naught. We are taking a spring having a spring constant k naught, and we are breaking it into n equal parts. We have cut it down into n equal parts, and then all cut portions are connected in parallel. That is, you will say all cut portions are connected in parallel like this. So one cut portion, another cut portion, and so on. N cut portions are connected like this. Obviously, the question is still the same, that you have to identify the time period. You have to identify the time period for oscillation. Let me give you another model also. In this model, we are talking about some constraint relations. We are involving the small techniques of laws of motion, and here is this mass m naught, and this is spring constant k naught. Then we are going to modify this, and we will talk about this system. This looks very much complicated, but we are going to simplify it very easily depending upon certain tips and tricks we are going to have. Okay, and here I am connecting the mass. So you cannot attach n number of ideal pulleys. It doesn't matter to you. Once you know the technique, the number of pulleys won't make a much difference. You can simplify all such types of problems easily. Okay, and then you have this system. Majority of these questions are either the PYQs already have come in the NEET exam, or they have a great probability to come in the upcoming NEET exam. So do it carefully and accordingly. This is m naught mass, and from both the ends it is connected to two springs. One will be K1, one will be K2. These springs can be identical or unidentical. That depends on that. Like, various cases are possible for us. Let us talk about them one by one. Now, I think you have a idea that we are talking about multiple cut portions, then cutting plus connecting in series or parallel. If you cut them and if you connect them back in series, then there is nothing much you are doing, because if you cut them, break them down, and then you are again join them in series, then you are getting the original spring again. So whenever you cut and if you want to subsequently join them, In order to have a different type of spring, the combination should not be series here. The combination naturally should be parallel. Then we have talked about the mass, but the spring till now were directly attached to the spring was directly attached to the mass, or if there were multiple springs, they were also attached to the mass. But this time the spring is not in direct contact with the mass, but it will produce some effect. We will talk about it. Same, its modified version. Its modified version will be this. Its modified version is this one. Okay. And then we will talk about some other type of arrangements in which we have to use the property of series and parallel combination. So let us talk about this one. This one first of all. So I will say we will do it in two steps. First of all, we are breaking the original spring. Then we are going to combine them in parallel combination. So for each cut portion, we are going to identify the K cut. So that K cut will be equal to original spring constant K naught, and then you have to add all the ratios A plus B plus C or X plus Y plus Z like that. So it should be 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. How many times? N times. And in the denominator you have to divide with its own proportion, that is 1. X plus Y plus Z by X, X plus Y plus Z by Y. So each portion is having a length ratio as 1, proportion as 1. So that is eventually coming out as N K naught. So the spring constant, the effective spring constant of each cut portion is going to be N K naught. Now when combined in parallel, you will say just now we have learned that in parallel combination the K parallel equivalent will be N times, that will get N times for identical springs. So N times of K cut. That N times of K cut can be written as, N into N K naught. So that will be equal to N square K naught. So if you want to write further, here, time period. Third step will be time period. So time period finally will be equal to 2 pi under root m naught by n square k naught, and hence that will be equal to, this will be the final answer. You can leave it this way, and if you take n square carefully out of the root, that will come out to be n. So that will be T original, although they are not asking you this, but if they ask so, then this is T original by n. Coming out to be as T original by n. Hope that thing is clear to you, right? So first of all, step by step you are doing here. The problem might look complicated, the problem statement might look very big, but step by step if you will do, the things will be easy for you. Okay. Now suppose we are talking about the next one, this one. Here I will say that you are disturbing this m naught here. Now you are disturbing this m naught here. Let us suppose you disturb it by this x. Now you know, if the tension here is T, then here the spring force that will be equal to 2T. Like the tension here created will be 2T. Okay. So because of the presence of spring, the oscillation of the system will happen. Okay. The block will be oscillating not because of string, but because of the presence of spring. But the restoring force is defined as, I repeat, the restoring force is defined as the force which is directly acting on the body, directly acting on the system, and its job is to restore. Its job is to restore or bring back the original configuration of the system. So yes, because of the presence of the spring, the system is oscillating, but the spring force is not directly applied to the object who is oscillating. The spring force is not having any direct application, so you should not call the spring force as the actual restoring force. Rather, this tension which is acting by the string on the block is responsible, will be technically called as the restoring force here. Okay. So, I mean, you can take the effective restoring force magnitude as the magnitude of the tension which has been directly applied on the block, which has a direct application. So now what you can say here is Fs is equal to 2T, and in the laws of motion we have learnt it that, see, I'm going to give you a tip. The tip is, for multiple pulley system, for multiple pulley and string system, for multiple pulley and string system, we can use the concept as net work done by all the internal forces. Net work done by all the internal forces will be equal to 0. So what we can get from here is that the product of T and X, the product of T and X always comes out to be constant. The product of T and X always comes out to be constant. From here we can conclude that if tension is doubled, if tension is getting 2 times, then if tension is getting 2 times, then X will be half. X will be only half times. Okay. Now what do we mean by that in this particular question? If you see that the block has been displaced downwards by X units and the tension is T, but if this is T, this is T, that is 2T. If that is 2T, so naturally the extension produced in the spring, if the tension has been doubled, the disturbance will be halved. So here it is X by 2. Here it is X by 2. I hope the basic idea of this problem is clear to you. I am saying that who is going to oscillate eventually? The block is going to oscillate. Because of what? Because of spring or because of string? Naturally, because of the presence of spring, the system is going to exhibit simple harmonic motion. But the spring force is not having any direct application on the block, and hence the spring force cannot be called as a restoring force. Alright, so here the restoring force will be tension. The tension will be acting as a restoring force, effective restoring force, I would say. So Fs will be equal to 2T, Fs will be equal to 2T, spring force will be equal to 2T, and that will be K into X. K naught into the disturbance provided in the spring, that is here X by 2. The disturbance provided in the spring is X by 2. So this implies you will say the tension, or this is acting as effective restoring force. Effective restoring force, here the tension will come out as this 2, you will take it here. So that is K naught by 4 into X. K naught by 4 into X. And if you compare it with standard equation of simple harmonic motion, this K naught by 4 will be acting as effective, the coefficient of X will be called as effective restoring constant. Effective restoring constant. And if this is called as a effective restoring constant, so I will say further time period will be equal to 2 pi under root m naught by K naught by 4. 2 pi under root m naught by K naught by 4, which can be naturally further simplified. इसको simplify कर सकते हैं यार. I'm just leaving it here because I want you to remember the pattern. So what we have done, this was a different problem. Let's take a quick recap once again. What we have done here is we have disturbed the mass m naught by a certain value X, suppose. Okay, and we are searching for the restoring force. Because of the presence of the spring, the system is going to oscillate, but the spring force is not having any direct application on the body. So the effective restoring force will be that force which is directly acting on the body and is responsible to bring it back. So what is that force here? Tension. Another tip which we have applied from the laws of motion is that the work done by internal forces in multiple pulley and work done by internal forces in fact every time 0. But for this particular system, we can think about it this way, that if the tension is getting doubled or getting n times, the disturbance component which you will be getting over there will become 1 by n times. Let us try to implement the same concept, same logic in the next modified version, much more complicated version, and then you will see how easily you can do this also. Now see what you will do here. You will say, sir, first of all, my job is to disturb the system from its mean position. I did it this way, X. Now, suppose the tension here is T, suppose. Then this is T, so this is T. So this will be 2T, this will be 2T. Or let me start with the block itself, because I am disturbing the block. Let me start with here only, that I have disturbed the block by X, and let's say here is the tension, here is the tension T. Now here is the tension T, so naturally here on both sides it will be half-half, T by 2 and T by 2. Further you will break it here and here, you will get T by 4. Further you will break it here and here, you will get T by 8. Further you will break it here and here, you will get T by 16. And from the same logic, that if the tension is becoming 1 by 16 times, the x will become 16 times. The x will become 16 times. So here the disturbance reflected will be 16x, so that the product of effective t and effective x is constant. So you will say here the spring force, which is not the effective restoring force, rather that is t by 16, and that is k naught into effective disturbance created in that. The disturbance which has reached there is 16x. From here t, which is equal to the effective restoring constant force, that is coming out to be 16 into 16, I think 256 k naught into x. So this 256 k naught is now going to behave as the I'll write it here. Effectively, this 256 k naught, which is acting as a coefficient of x, the disturbance which you have provided, this is going to act as effective restoring constant. So time period, this was also time here, because t is already denoting tension. So here this is time period value t. Okay, you can call it t dash. This t is tension. So coming here, time period will be given by 2 pi under root m naught by, eventually you can write it as 256 k naught, 256 k naught. So effective restoring constant, once you get, the situation gets easy. That is the whole, that is the conclusion of the entire journey, that every time a configuration comes in front of you, step 1, disturb the body from its mean position. Step 1, disturbing the body from its mean position. Step 2, trying to get the value of restoring force or restoring torque if it is the case of angular SHM. So a few days back we have talked about simple pendulum. That was the NCERT case for that was an NCERT case for angular SHM. Today and yesterday we talked about the spring mass system. This is a case of NCERT linear simple harmonic motion. So once you get the restoring force or restoring torque, that must come out to be directly dependent or linearly dependent on the disturbance x or theta which you have provided. The coefficient is going to serve as effective restoring constant, and hence the time period formula is 2 pi under root m by k for linear SHM and 2 pi under root I by k for angular SHM. Okay, let us talk about the last one here. Let's talk about this. What you have to do, if you think that you are disturbing this by x units, you are disturbing the block in this way x units, and assuming that all the surfaces are smooth if not given. So x disturbance if you give, then you will realize that the k2 has been compressed by x and k1 has been elongated by x, stretched by x. So the block has come here. The block has come here. This compressed spring is trying to push it back by k2x. This elongated spring is trying to pull it back by k1x. So effective restoring force will be equal to, both of them are trying to restore, k1 plus k2 into x. So if you take x common, it is coming out to be k1 plus k2 into x. So naturally it is the parallel combination which you are getting. So time period formula will be 2 pi under root m naught by k1 plus k2. So this configuration also, if it comes in the exam for you, remember that that is going to be a parallel combination of the springs. Alright. So I hope you got a great idea of how to find out the time period and how to deal with the different models of spring mass system. Alright. So you can quickly take the screenshot. Alright. I hope in this entire journey you have learned a lot. Tomorrow when we will be meeting, we will again take one very important concept for the final NEET exam, and our purpose will be that in half an hour, 40-45 minute session maximum, we'll try to learn something which is going to give us a direct benefit for our final NEET exam. Okay. So till then, relax, enjoy and keep working hard. All the best. Bye-bye.
Good morning, all of you. Our today running session of Morphology of Flowering Plants, we are proceeding with the next topic under the subheading Flower. I hope so you have gone through the rest of the topics, what we have covered till yesterday. There we discussed regarding the introduction of the flower. Then we have discussed regarding parts of flower, a little bit account on that. Then major discussion happened on the types of flower, right? So I hope so you are going through all the things one by one, and let's start our today's session where we will discuss about again the parts of flower but in more detail, right? Okay, let's take our today's session. Let's start with that. Right, so here we are going to take again the parts of flower, right? As per we have discussed yesterday, we categorize them under two headings: essential and non-essential, and the essential parts of the flower, right? Non-essential means they are not directly involving in the reproduction, right? They just help in the sexual reproduction. How come? Like petals being colored, they are inviting the pollinators for pollination. Sepals are giving support to the inner walls, right? That all account we have discussed yesterday in our journal discussion. In now detail, we have to take first of all non-essential parts, then we will discuss about the essential parts of the flower, right? Now under the non-essential parts, what we have discussed, it will include sepals, even it will include the petals, right? Complete whorl of sepals, what we call it as calyx. Complete whorl of petals, we call it as corolla, right? And essential organ, let me to write here stamens, making the androecium as a complete whorl, right? Then even carpels or the pistils, complete whorl, you call it as gynoecium, right? So this is a map in front of you that we have to discuss these parts today, right? First I am taking for the sepals, right? Now let's take about under the sepals what terminology we are discussing. First of all, you must know it is green, I must say generally it is green and small leaf like structure, right? So being due to green in color, it can show the photosynthesis. Little bit photosynthesis can be performed, but this is not the only thing for photosynthesis, right? You know that leaves are the major site in the plant for the photosynthesis, but being green, even it small account of photosynthesis can be shown by the sepals, but even it support the inner walls of the flower. Inner walls of the flower can be supported by that. And if I say you like a flower is in a bud stage, it is covered outermost by the calyx, right? So can I say it is protective in function? When the flower is in bud stage, in a floral bud stage, then it becomes protective in its function. But once the flower open, can I say this calyx will become lowermost and supporting the inner walls. But when the flower is closed, it is the outermost and protecting the inner walls of the flower. So that can be even the function of that. But what terminology is related to the sepals? The terminology which is applicable to the sepals, that will be gamosepalous condition and the polysepalous condition, right? Here the word gamo stands for the fused, the sepals are fused. Here the sepals are free. When the sepals are free, the condition you call it as polysepalous. When they are fused, you call it as gamosepalous, right? So you must remember these terms because this will help you in the learning the features of the families at last given in the chapter Morphology of flowering plants, right? So these terms are very important. You should have mastery on these terms, right? Okay, now this is about the sepals. Now let's talk about the next non-essential part. What is that? Petals, right? Now petals, can I say that varies? Varies means it will keep on differing from flower to flower. Can be in its color or even can be in its shape. What variation in shape they will show? It can be wheel shape. When it is fused, they show the petals together, wheel shape, or it can show the funnel shape, inverted funnel type of shape it can form, bell shape, it can be there, right? So many more, and even the tube shape, right? Many other different shapes are there, but as per your NCERT, I'm going with that. So they vary in shape and even in color. Can I say this is a colored part and most attractive part of the flower, right? And to whom it is attracting? No doubt, even we get attracted to the beautification of this angiosperm due to the petals present in their flower. But to the plant, how the petals are useful? It is attracting the pollinators. It helps in the attraction towards, or they are giving attraction to the pollinators, which help in the pollination, right? Now, which terms we are applying to this petal? Again, like that, gamopetalous condition and polypetalous condition, right? So here we use the term gamo for the fused petals, when petals are fused, and poly we are using when petals are free, right? Obviously, sometimes you are learning poly as many, right? So poly, how you can count it is many? When they are not fused, only then you can count they are many. So keep in your mind, poly means for free, gamo here stands for the fused. So at least this much you should know about the introduction for these petals, but rest now we have to go in a little bit in detail the estivations, where we will discuss about arrangement of sepals or petals within the same whorl. We have to take their arrangement with respect to other members of the same whorl, and in which stage we have to learn the estivation, that is during the bud stage of the flower, because once the flower opens, when it blooms, when it show anthesis, when the flower become open, then this estivation is not much clear, right? So it will be clear in the bud stage. Now let's talk about our topic related to sepal and petals, that is estivation. Right? So what is estivation? The mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in floral bud with respect to the other members of the same whorl, right? So this is very important in this chapter. Many terminologies are there with regard, you are having the definition, examples and diagram. So to have mastery on this chapter, you must know about its definition. To this definition, what is term and what are their examples, the pictures related to that, you must know about that, right? Now let's talk about the types of estivations. There are the 4 estivation majorly found in sepals and petals, right? So you must consider that we don't have only these 4 estivations. We have more than this even, but mainly found are these 4 given in your NCERT book, right? They have represent in a showing a flower itself, and even they are showing by cutting its transverse section, or you can say by looking at the top view. When you look a flower on upper side, you will find this type of arrangement. So in the examination, they can give you any diagram either in a form of complete flower or in a form of this upper view or the transverse section of the floral bud stage, right? Now let's talk about all the estivation one by one. The first estivation in front of you, that is velvet estivation, right? This one is the twisted estivation. This one is imbricate, and this is waxillary estivation, right? Otherwise, other than this, even you are having quinquential type of estivation as well, which is not in your NCERT book. So at least must focus on these 4 type of estivations. Let's see the first one, velvet estivation. What is happening in velvet estivation? Either sepals or petals, their members, like this is one member. I'm taking this as one member. One member, it's this margin and this margin is going to touch to the margin of near member, right? For example, like this is one member, sepal or petal. This is second member of the same whorl, sepal. They are just touching to each other, but they are not overlapped, right? Overlapping is not there. Only they are close to each other. That is the next story. They can be fused or they can be free. That is another thing, right? So once the margins of a member is just touching to the margin of the next member and so on, it is happening. Such type of estivation you call it as velvet estivation. And what is an example? Now this is next important thing. Calotropis is an example to this. The common name, Hindi name for Calotropis is Ak, right? And now twisted estivation. What is twisted estivation? Here one member of a whorl is overlapping the margin of next whorl. Overlapping you will find, right? So once this overlapping is happening, like see here, this member, this margin is overlapping this. This member, this margin is overlapping next. And this margin of this member overlapping this, and so on. Such type of estivation you call it as twisted estivation. And where you find this, very important, you will find in China rose, right? What is the scientific name of China rose here? Hibiscus, right? Even in cotton, scientific name Gossypium. Even in lady's finger, what is the scientific name? Abel moschus. Now, why I have written here the scientific name? Actually, all example scientific name is not important. But now, in the change edition or the syllabus of your NCERT, the NEET exam, they have introduced Malvaceae family. All these members comes under Malvaceae family, right? So you must remember, in that case, they can show this twisted estivation, and all these 3 examples belongs to the Malvaceae family. All the examples, their scientific name you need not to learn, right? But where it is important, definitely I will say you, and you have to go with that, right? Now next is the imbricate. In imbricate type of estivation, you will find there is no fixed pattern of its arrangement. Here, can you see this complete margin of this member? The margins of this member is both inside, right? Margins of this member is completely outside. Whereas rest 3, 1, 2 and 3, they are partially inside, partially outside. So there is no fixed pattern, right? Such type you call it as imbricate type. What will be the example here? Here the example will be Acacia gulmohar, right? And these two belongs to which family? Fabaceae family. That belongs to Fabaceae family, right? Now next estivation is very important and very interesting to understand that, and usually it is found in case of petals. It is in case of petals. To understand the parts of this estivation, members of this estivation, one logic you should know that of a flower in the floral diagram, the upper side is the posterior side and the lower side is an anterior side. I am explaining in context to this diagram. This is anterior side and this one is posterior side. You know, in the floral diagram you have dot at the top. That dot is indicating the mother axis. Mother axis side on the floral diagram is the posterior side and lower side will be the anterior side of that diagram. Now let's talk about this thing more in detail. Like if I take this concept here, keep in your mind the largest petal, can you see this is very big in size? That largest petal is towards the posterior side. Let me to give the space for this labeling now. The largest petal you call it as standard, right? It is toward which side? Posterior side. And this two which are on lateral side, that you call it as wings. Wings are towards lateral side and 2 in number, right? Now lower one which is toward anterior side, that you call it as keels. Keels are 2 but they are fused. Wings are 2 but they are free. Standard is only 1 in number. It is only 1. That's why in the floral formula of Fabaceae, in corolla, you will find 1 plus 2 plus 2 arrangement. 1 is for standard, 2 for the wings and 2 for the keels. Such type of arrangement, you call it as a vexillary arrangement, or even you call it as papilionaceous arrangement of the petals. What will be the examples over there? It will carry the example of the pea as well as bean, and this even comes under which family? Fabaceae family, right? So this is about the estivations we have discussed related to the you can say the sepals and the petals, which are non-essential parts of the flower, right? I hope so you have revised this thing. If you are LT student or if you are the +1 student, I hope so a little bit idea you can get of that page. If you are newcomer, then please don't take burden of that. When you will come here, we will go with much more detail. But right now we are here to get a point of view of revisions for more of the repeaters. I hope so you must got this idea again, and this is sort of a revision for you, and must go with the examples, because they will not ask you directly what is vexillary estivation, what is imbricate. They can give you the picture and diagrams and ask you to match with the proper example or the type. Anyway, they can ask you the question, right? So be firm with the term, its definition, its example and its diagram. This is very important, right? So this is all about the essential parts, non-essential parts of the flower. Now we are going to take about the concept of essential parts of the flower. Just now we have completed non-essential parts. Now we are going to discuss the essential parts of the flower in detail, right? So first I am going to take for androecium, right? Androecium, it's single unit. What do you call it as single unit as? Single unit of androecium is the stamen. Even we can call stamen as a microsporophyll. It is equivalent to that, right? So stamen, sometime in the question you will find they are using the term microsporophyll, right? Now let's talk about here regarding the parts of the, let's talk about the parts of the stamen. What are its parts? It consists of basically two parts. One is bilobed structure, right? And one is elongated filamentous structure, right? This bilobed structure, we call it as anther. And this elongated structure, you call it as filament, right? Now, we are going to take these two parts one by one. Let's talk about the anther first of all. In a typical stamen, this anther is bilobed. This anther is bilobed. Bilobe means, can you see the two lobes are present over there? So that bilobe structure is present in case of the anther. Right? Now, next feature about that, when you cut it transverse section, you will find this as a tetragonal in shape. It is tetragonal in shape. Don't call it as tetrahedral. Tetrahedral is different from tetragonal. So when you cut it transverse section, you will find its tetragonal outline will be there, and every corner will carry one pollen sac, which you even call it as microsporangium, right? Even you call it as microsporangium. Singular you call it as microsporangia. Later this you call it as pollen sac, right? So as per one lobe is having two pollen sac, this is dithecous condition. But in Malvaceae family, that exception will be there. It is showing monothecous condition. This is very important because this family have been introduced latest in your syllabus. So be careful about this information. In Malvaceae family, anther is monothecous, one lobe with one theca. Two theca are present in one place, that means it is dithecous. And total 4 are present in typical stamen, that's why it is tetrasporangiate. Tetrasporangiate condition. Fine. Now, coming to this filament part, can I say this filament is elongated, cylinder, stalk of this stamen? It is having two ends. The end which is near to the thalamus part, this end you call it as proximal end because it is near to the floral axis. You call it as proximal end, which is away from this floral axis, right? This you call it as a distal end. We are discussing these ends regarding the filament. The proximal end is attached to the thalamus part, right? Now, there are two conditions. One is apipetalous condition. Next is the epiphyllous condition. Now, what do you mean by this thing? When its proximal part not only touch to thalamus, but even touch to the petal part. But when even it touch to the petal part, that you call it as epipetalous. On the petals, what is attached? This filament part is going to be attached, or stamen is fused with the petals. If the stamens are fused with the tepals, that condition you call it as epiphyllous condition. Epipetalous condition will be there in case of brinjal. Brinjal belongs to Solanaceae family. So this is the very good example among the families that Solanaceae will show this epipetalous condition. Epiphyllous condition will be shown by the lily, which belongs to the Liliaceae family, and this is a very good character to explain for the Liliaceae family over here, right? So this is in short, we have discussed the stamen. Now let's talk about two more terminology based on the length of stamen. The length of stamen in most of the cases are same in one flower, but within one flower the length can vary due to the varying length, differ length of the filament. In that case, what we have to talk about? I hope so this page is clear to everyone, right? So if you have anything you left while writing, you please reverse the video, have a look once again and check on your doubts. And now I am proceeding on next slide for the next terminology. What is that? The next terminology regarding the stamen based on their length, that is didynamous and tetradynamous condition. Didynamous condition is observed in salvia, right? This is in case of mustard, right? And do remember, this is salvia, it is not salvinia. Salvinia is a pteridophyte, salvia is an angiosperm, right? And mustard, mustard scientific name I am taking here, brassica. Right, now what is didynamous condition? In didynamous condition, the two stamens, they will short in its length and two will be long in its length. That is didynamous condition. Tetradynamous, two will be short but four will be long. Like for example, like 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? But shorter one is toward outside, like this, right? 2 shorter are outside, 4 longer are towards inner side. If you are having confusion between tetra and didynamous, just for learning motive I am saying that keep the word dynamous in your mind. Dynamous means what thing? That something is coming out, dynamically coming out. And who will come out? Obviously that one which is long. So if 2 are long, didynamous. If 4 are long, tetradynamous. This is for your learning, right? Sometimes students get confused, didynamous, tetradynamous, that 2 and 2 we have to learn or 2 and 4 we have to learn. If 2 are long, didynamous. If 4 are long, tetradynamous. Learn it based on the long, right? Don't confuse. Then short will be automatically in your mind, right? And in this case, which one is outer and which one is inner? This is a little bit controversial, right? So we are not going to take that concept. And example very important here. Didynamous example will be salvia. Tetradynamous condition is of mustard, or scientific name you can learn as a brassica, right? Okay, now further terms, more we can study about the stamens, right? Now stamen, the terms based on their whether they are fused or they are free, that terminology we are going to pick. Now what are that terminology? First we are taking based on whether the stamens are free. Next terminology we are taking whether the stamens are fused, right? If they are free, then we are all are free, they are not fused, that you call it as polyandrous condition. For example, in case of mustard. Now if they are fused, to remember, they can show cohesion or even they can show adhesion. Adhesion means to the other members of the whorls. Like we have already discussed 2 cases, epiphyllous and epipetalous. And other terms are even there. They can fuse with the sepals even to the carpels as well. But don't be so much into the terms. First of all, clarify all the terms which is given in your NCERT, right? Now in cohesion means when stamens are fused with each other, right? If only filaments are fused, sometimes the filaments are fused, sometimes only anthers are fused, right? Sometimes anther and filaments, both are fused. Completely fusion is there, right? That you call it as synandrous condition. That you call it as synandrous condition. Only anther is fused, syngenesious condition. This is very important. This is in case of sunflower, in the disc florets, because this family Asteraceae is there in your syllabus. That's why I spoke. And only filaments are fused. Filaments are fused. The terminology given in your NCERT book, what is that? Monoadelphous. Why adelphous word? Because fusion of filament, you call it as adelphi. That you call it as adelphi. That's why you are using the word monoadelphous. When all are fused to give one bundle, that is monoadelphous. Where it is there? In case of China rose. Diadelphous is the condition we are using in case of, for example, in pea. When two bundles are formed after fusion, and the polyadelphous, many bundles are formed after the fusion. For example, in case of citrus. And my recommendation, please don't confuse polyadelphous with the polyandrous. Polyandrous means all stamens are free, right? Whereas polyadelphous means once they fuse, many bundles are going to be formed. So what thing fused in the polyadelphi? Only filament. That is adelphi. If you know adelphi, then you can save your many questions and the confusion in the terminology. Like one I picked for you, polyadelphous and polyandrous condition, right? So this is very important thing, keep in your mind. And this time 2024, you know that one match the column came and it happened to be there from the, means that was there from the androecium part, right? I hope so you get this point. Now we are going to take the next essential part of the flower, that is the gynoecium, right? So gynoecium, can I say it single unit, you call it as carpel or the pistil, or even you call it as megasporophyll. How many parts it consists of? It consists of 3 parts. What are that? Stigma, style and the ovary. Swollen part is the ovary, elongated part tube-like is a style, and upper platform will be the stigma. It is receptive for the pollen grains. Pollen grains, when they are going to settle as a platform, it is coming on stigma. This is a style part and swollen is the ovary. Presence of ovary is the feature of the angiosperm, very important feature of angiosperm. And if I cut the longitudinal section right now, 2 locules are there in front of you, which you even call it as ovarian chambers, right? In the ovarian chambers, you will find cushion-like swollen thing that you call it as a placenta, right? On the placenta, what is present over there? Ovules are present, right? Now ovules number, do remember, it can be 1, it can be many. If it is 1, for example mango, like further it becomes seed 1, and many like in watermelon, papaya. Now terms related to the gynoecium, what is that? Apocarpus and the syncarpus. Very important terms. Apo means when the carpels are free. Syncarpus means when the carpels are fused, right? Now what will be the examples here? Example for free, lotus, rose. One more I am picking from the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plant, Michelia, right? Here syncarpus, example I am taking tomato, mustard, and 2 I am taking from sexual reproduction in flowering plant, rose and even papaver, right? So this is an introduction to the gynoecium. But main thing which is very important for your NEET exam is the placentation, right? Now let's talk about their placentations. In your book, they have given these 5 placentation. Let's talk about one by one regarding these placentations. First placentation they have shown is the marginal placentation. This one is the axile placentation. This is the parietal placentation. This is the free central placentation. And this one is the basal placentation. Now, what do you mean by these placentation? Arrangement of the ovules on its placenta in the ovary, that you call it as placentation, right? In the case of marginal placentation, you will find they are present on which side? On the ventral side of the ovary. Ovules are present on ventral side because this placenta is forming the ridge. Ridge means a slightly elevated part. They are present ovules over there, right? And in marginal placentation, it is unilocular ovary. One chamber will be there. And this is longitudinal section. In these 3, they have shown you the transverse section. Here is again longitudinal section. These 2 diagram, longitudinal section. These 3 diagram, transverse section, right? Here, unilocular with many ovules, right? What will be the example here? P will be the example. Now, axile placentation, and obviously marginal placentation, what is the arrangement over there? At the margin, it is present, right? Axile placentation, can you see many locules are there? And this partition you call it as septum. Plural you call it as septa. And it is forming multilocular ovary. Multilocular means many locule, chambers are there. And many ovules, many ovules. And where they are arranged? They are arranged on the axile of the ovary. Means in the center of the ovary. What will be the example here? Here will be the lemon, citrus, I must say here, China rose, even citrus is even correct, and even tomato, even citrus is correct. I am going as per your NCERT book, lemon, China rose and tomato they have given there. Now parietal placentation. In parietal, can you see again it is unilocular? When you will see all the cases, only axile is multilocular. Only axile is multilocular. But in the parietal placentation, they can form a false septum. That false septum you call it as repulum. Due to that thing, it become bilocular later, right? And it is even having many ovules. And where they are going to arrange? At the inner wall of ovary. Inner wall of ovary it is going to be arranged. Or you can say at periphery, not in center but on the periphery, right? What example will be of parietal presentation? Mustard and the argemone, right? Free central is like axile. But here it will be unilocular with many ovules. Up to here are many ovules, right? But where it is present? At the axile position, central position. It is present at the central position of the ovary, central one. But it is unilocular, right? Here it is multilocular. What will be the example over here? Dianthus and the primrose will be the example here. Now basal placentation. Keep in your mind rest of the cases we have written uni and multi. Even here is a unilocular. But rest of the cases many ovules are there, but here is the single ovule in one ovary. This is very important to differentiate. This is having single ovule in one ovary, and where it is present? At the base of the ovary, right? And what will be the example over there? sunflower, very important, Asteraceae family, right? And even the marigold, right? So the way I have shown you where it is unilocular, where it is multilocular, where many ovules, where single ovule, keep that concept in your mind. And very important, their examples, right? Main questions are framed based on the examples. So this is very important topic under the gynoecium, all the placentations. Please go through that, all the terminology, examples, diagram, very, very important. Do keep on revising. That's all for today. I hope so. You are doing your hard work with the revisions, with persistive positiveness in you, and keep it up. All the best. Thanks a lot, students.
Good morning to all. Welcome. So today topic is chemical control and coordination. Here. Already we have discussed before. In human body, all vital activities, they are controlled and regulated by means of two systems. Those two systems are nervous system as well as endocrine system. So what is the difference between these two coordinations means here? In the case of nervous system, the information it will passes in the form of electrical impulses, but whereas in the case of endocrine, it will passes in the form of chemical means that is neurotransmitter. And next one, in this neural system, the transmission is very fast, it means rapid transmission will there, but whereas here comparatively slow transmission. Next, response, the response will be fast. In this case, the response will be fast, but whereas the response is slow. Even though it is fast, but it is short-lived. This is a drawback. So, in the case of nervous coordination or nervous regulation, the response whichever is given from the brain, it is of short-lived, but whereas here it is long-lasting. So, these are the differences between endocrine as well as neural control. Now, these are the different types of endocrine glands in human body. The endocrine glands are called ductless glands. They are called ductless glands. Why they are known as ductless glands means here, because they lacks ducts. They lacks ducts, and these glands secretes hormones. These glands secretes hormones directly into the blood. Directly into the blood, and these chemicals are neurotransmitters which are transported to distant parts of the body through the blood. So that is endocrine system. What are the different types of endocrine glands present in human body are hypothalamus, which is known as supreme gland, and next one is pituitary gland, this is master gland, and next pineal gland, this is known as biological clock, and next in the neck region, thyroid as well as parathyroid gland will be there, and in the chest region, the thymus gland is there, which plays an important role in immune system, and next one pancreas, adrenal gland, and next one is gonad. In the case of females, ovary, and in the case of males, testes here. So these are the different types of endocrine glands and their location in our human body. Okay. This one. Here this is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus will have a special cells called neurosecretory cells. What is the role of these neurosecretory cells means? These cells will secrete releasing hormones as well as inhibitory hormones. Here, axon terminals of hypothalamic neurosecretory cells release hormones into the release hormones. Which hormones? Releasing hormones as well as inhibitory hormones into the portal circulation. That portal circulation is known as hypophyseal portal system. What is this portal system means? This is a system which is present between a system portal circulation, which is the smallest circulation present between hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland. And anterior pituitary gland here. This is the portal circulation. This is the portal circulation which is present between, this one is hypothalamus and this is pituitary gland here. What is the role of this portal circulation means? This portal circulation which carries which carries that releasing hormones as well as inhibitory hormones to pituitary gland, that is anterior pituitary gland. Next, some more neurons will be there, some more neurosecretory cells are there. Those neurosecretory cells, they are directly secreting hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin, that is ADH, directly into posterior pituitary gland here, posterior pituitary gland. So the oxytocin as well as antidiuretic hormone, they will release directly through axonally into the posterior pituitary gland here. So there is no portal circulation between hypothalamus as well as posterior pituitary gland. Yes. This is the portal circulation. In this picture, they are showing portal circulation. The portal circulation which is present between hypothalamus and they are showing only towards anterior one, not posterior. So it is anterior pituitary gland. So this is hypophyseal portal circulation. Here, same thing. So these are the neurosecretory cells which releases hormones called inhibitory hormones as well as releasing hormones directly through the portal circulation to the pituitary. But whereas some neurons, they will have long axons. So they will have long axons. They are going to release the hormones like oxytocin and ADH or vasopressin into posterior pituitary gland, where the posterior pituitary glands acts as storage. It stores the oxytocin and ADH. Yes. Now today we are going to discuss about pituitary gland here. Pituitary gland. So what is pituitary gland means? The pituitary gland is known as master gland, and this master gland which is located in a cavity. This is a cavity called sella turcica. It is present in the cavity called sella turcica, and this bony cavity, it belongs to a bone called sphenoid bone. So sella turcica of sphenoid bone. Yeah. One second. Pituitary gland. Today's topic is pituitary gland here. The pituitary gland is known as master gland. Why it is known as master gland means here, it will regulate all other glands here. And this pituitary gland which is present at base of diencephalon. It is important point. It is present at the base of diencephalon. Diencephalon of forebrain. And next, this pituitary gland is located. It is located in a bony cavity. It is present in a bony cavity. That bony cavity we are calling as sphenoid. It is known as sella turcica. Sella turcica, and this sella turcica is a cavity belongs to sphenoid bone. Of sphenoid bone. Next, this pituitary gland anatomically divided into, It is anatomically divided into two regions. One is adenohypophysis as well as neurohypophysis. It is anatomically divided into two divisions. What are those two means here? Number one, adenohypophysis. And neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis as well as neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis has two regions or two portions. One is known as pars distalis and second one is known as pars intermedia. Adenohypophysis has two portions. One is pars distalis and pars intermedia. This pars distalis is also known as, it is also known as anterior pituitary gland. It is also known as anterior pituitary gland here. And next one, neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis has only one region, that is pars nervosa. That is known as pars nervosa. This pars nervosa is also called posterior pituitary gland. This is also called posterior pituitary gland here. So the neurohypophysis is a region which is under direct control. This point is important. It is under direct control and regulation of hypothalamus. Which portion of the pituitary gland is under direct control of hypothalamus means here? The answer is neurohypophysis or posterior pituitary gland. Next one. This anterior pituitary gland secretes, it secretes 6 hormones. Anterior pituitary gland or pars distalis, it secretes 6 hormones, whereas intermedia secretes only 1 hormone. It secretes 6 hormones, and whereas intermedia portion is secretes only 1 hormone. And posterior one here, there is no secretion. There is no secretion of hormones, but it stores 2 hormones. It stores and releases 2 hormones. It is going to store, it is not going to secrete, because these 2 hormones, they are secreted from hypothalamus. For that reason, the posterior pituitary gland acts as a storage point here. Okay, what are those 6 hormones means here? These 6 hormones are number 1, growth hormone. Number 1, growth hormone. Number 2, prolactin. Number 3, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Number 4, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. Next, FSH, follicle stimulating hormones, and LH, luteinizing hormone here. So these are the 6 hormones secreted from pars distalis or anterior pituitary gland here. So the 5th and 6th, these two are known as gonadotropins. It means FSH and LH, they are known as gonadotropins. Next, the pars intermedia. The pars intermedia secretes only one hormone, that is known as MSH. MSH means melanocyte stimulating hormone. And next, it stores, it is not going to produce any hormone, it only stores 2 hormones. What are those 2 hormones? Means oxytocin, and the second one is ADH, that is antidiuretic hormone. Basically these 2 hormones are secreted from hypothalamus, and through the hypothalamus it will pass us to neurohypophysis and it stores and then it releases out here. So these are the pituitary hormones, here. Now first one is growth hormone. Growth hormone. Growth hormone is a hormone secreted from pars distalis or anterior pituitary gland, and this growth hormone, it acts on bones and involves in growth. And it involves in body growth here. Next, this growth hormone has some disorders, and this growth hormone is a protein hormone. It is actually protein hormone. And next, it has some disorders. What are those disorders? Means there are 2 types of disorders are there. One is under secretion, and second one is here over secretion. Under secretion and over secretion. Under secretion means deficiency or hyposecretion. Over secretion means here hypersecretion. Yeah. Next, so what are those disorders? Means it may be hyposecretion or it may be hypersecretion. Suppose hyposecretion, it means low levels of growth hormone leads to a disorder called dwarfism. This is known as pituitary dwarfism. So why do the dwarfism is causing? Means it is mainly caused due to under secretion or deficiency or hyposecretion of growth hormone from the pituitary gland. It leads to stunted growth here. That is known as pituitary dwarfism. Next, hypersecretion. Under hypersecretion, there are 2 disorders are there. One is gigantism, and second one is acromegaly. Gigantism as well as acromegaly. So gigantism is a condition where there is a hypersecretion. Hypersecretion is more secretion or over secretion of growth hormone takes place, and this growth hormone, it will act on bones and it causes elongation of bones. It leads to increase in the height of the body. That condition is known as gigantism. Next, acromegaly. Acromegaly also comes under same hypersecretion one, but this acromegaly, it causes in middle-aged people. And then it leads to severe disfigurement of the body. And it leads to disfigurement of body, especially face region. Especially face region here. So that condition is known as acromegaly. By birth, if the person is having a hypersecretion, means it leads to gigantism. But in the middle age, if it is coming, means here it leads to a condition called acromegaly, where there is a severe disfigurement of body here, especially the face, next cheeks, as well as shoulders, etc. That condition is known as acromegaly. Actually, this is a severe condition. If it is unchecked, means it leads to premature death. Yes, these are the reasons. This is anterior pituitary gland. This is anterior pituitary gland, and next this is known as posterior pituitary gland. Hypothalamus as well as pituitary gland, both are connected to each other by means of a stalk. That stalk is known as infundibulum. So what is the connection present between hypothalamus as well as pituitary gland? Means that stalk is known as infundibulum here, and these two are the portions. Here. So this is growth hormone. Next one is here ACTH, next TSH, prolactin, FSH as well as LH. These 6 hormones comes under pars distalis, and then MSH comes under pars intermedia. Anyway, all these hormones comes under adenohypophysis. Next, neurohypophysis. Neurohypophysis are not going to secrete, but they are going to store 2 hormones. Those 2 hormones are oxytocin as well as ADH. Yes, same thing. So this is the growth hormone, and this person is gigant. He is known as gigant, which is mainly caused due to over secretion or hyper secretion here. And this female is acromegaly person here. So in this one there is a severe disfigurement of the body. So broad face, cheek will be there. Even her palms also very broad here. So that condition is known as acromegaly. Both will comes under hypersecretion only. Next, second one is here thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. Next hormone is thyroid stimulating hormone. What is the role of this thyroid stimulating hormone? Means this thyroid stimulating hormone, it acts on thyroid gland, and it is a positive hormone. So, and it stimulates, it acts on thyroid gland and it stimulates secretion of especially the thyroid hormones called T3 and T4. So, that is the role of TSH. Next one is ACTH. ACTH means adrenocorticotropic hormone. This hormone which acts on ACTH role is here. This hormone acts on adrenal gland. It acts on adrenal gland. But it acts on which region of the adrenal gland? Means it acts on adrenal cortex. It acts on adrenal cortex and it stimulates this. ACTH stimulates adrenal gland or adrenal cortex to secrete glucocorticoids. This glucocorticoids plays an important role in carbohydrate metabolism. So this ACTH will stimulate the adrenal cortex and it causes the secretion of glucocorticoid. The best example of glucocorticoid is cortisol. So the cortisol is a type of glucocorticoid which are produced from the adrenal gland. So that is the role of ACTH. Next one is prolactin. Next one is prolactin. So what is the role of prolactin means here? The prolactin acts on mammary glands. So this hormone is elevated during pregnancy time here. So during pregnancy time, this PRL or prolactin, it acts on mammary gland. And what is the role means here? It induces growth. It induces the growth of mammary gland during pregnancy time, and also it induces the formation of milk also. These two are NCERT points. The prolactin is responsible for growth of mammary gland as well as formation of milk also here. So for that reason, this prolactin is known as milk forming hormone or milk secreting hormone, milk forming hormone, because they are acting on the mammary glands and it induces the milk formation, especially in alveoli. This is alveoli. It induces and maintains lactation by stimulating the synthesis of milk. Next one. Next two hormones are gonadotropins. Next are gonadotropins here. Gonadotropins. So what are those gonadotropins? Gonadotropins are FSH as well as LH. So this FSH and LH both are producing in male as well as female. So this is male and this is female, but the role is different. Here. So now first female. Gonadotropins in female. So there are two gonadotropins. One is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. What is the role of this follicle stimulating hormone? Means this hormone acts on ovarian follicles. It means primary follicle, secondary follicle, tertiary follicle. That development will take place here. It acts on ovarian follicles present in the ovary. And it stimulates growth and development. It stimulates growth and development of ovarian follicles. Here. So this is the role of FSH in females. Next, one more gonadotropin in female is LH, luteinizing hormone. What is the role of this luteinizing hormone in female? This luteinizing hormone acts on mature follicle called Graafian follicle. It acts on mature follicle, and what is its role means here? It induces ovulation process. The role of LH is it induces ovulation. What is the definition of ovulation? Ovulation is a process where there is a rupture of Graafian follicle and it causes releasing of ovum out, is known as ovulation. The ovulation is induced by LH. And next one is not only induces ovulation, even it will maintains corpus luteum. carpus luteum. So these two are the roles of LH in female. Okay, in female. So this is FSH role and this is LH role in female. Next one is gonadotropins in male. Gonadotropins in the male. Here also there are two gonadotropins, same as female in the, one is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and second one is LH, luteinizing hormone. But this luteinizing hormone in male only, known as ICSH also. ICSH means interstitial cell stimulating hormone. So FSH as well as LH, and LH is also known as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. So these two are the gonadotropins in males. Then what is the role of FSH and LH in the case of male means, in male FSH acts on cells called Sertoli cells. It acts on Sertoli cells, and these Sertoli cells, it produces or it secretes factors. It secretes factors. What is the role of these factors means, these factors are very important, or they are involved in a process called spermiogenesis. This point is there in human reproduction. Okay, so FSH acts on Sertoli cells, and these Sertoli cells induces factors, and these factors plays an important role, or they are responsible for a process called spermiogenesis. What is spermiogenesis means? Spermiogenesis is a process where there is a transformation of immotile spermatids into motile sperms, or mature sperms, or spermatozoa. This differentiation process requires these factors. Next, LH. In the case of males, the LH or ICSH, it acts on Leydig cells. Very, very important point. It acts on Leydig cells. So these Leydig cells secretes, they will secrete androgens. The most important androgen in males is testosterone. So the testosterone production is mainly influenced by LH here. So it acts on Leydig cells and it secretes androgens here. Next. FSH, this NCERT line, important point. FSH and androgens plays an important role, or these both are responsible for spermatogenesis. What is spermatogenesis means? Formation of sperms. Formation of sperms from germ mother cell called spermatogonia here. So those two are very important for spermatogenesis, and these factors are important for spermiogenesis here. So these are all about gonadotropins in both male and female. So that is pars distalis over, and later on next one is MSH. Next hormone is here MSH. MSH means melanocyte. What is melanocyte? Melanocyte is known as melanin containing cells. Melanin containing cells are known as melanocytes here. So melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocyte stimulating hormone here. So this melanocyte stimulating hormone, it is produced by pars intermedia portion of adenohypophysis here. And this role is, this hormone acts on melanocytes. Melanocytes, and involves in formation of melanin. And involves in the formation of melanin pigment here. So, which hormone plays an important role in pigmentation means MSH. MSH plays an important role, or it involves in skin pigmentation. Important here. So, all these hormones belongs to adenohypophysis. And next one is neurohypophysis, but neurohypophysis doesn't secrete any hormones, it only stores here. Neurohypophysis here. This neurohypophysis stores two hypothalamic hormones because their origin is from hypothalamus. It stores two hypothalamus or hypothalamic hormones, and those two hypothalamic hormones are, one is oxytocin and second one is here vasopressin. Vasopressin is also known as antidiuretic hormone, ADH. Two hypothalamic hormones are there. Then what is the role of this oxytocin? Oxytocin acts on, they have two target sites here. One is it acts on uterus, and even the same hormone it has an effect on, or it acts on mammary gland also. There are two target tissues for oxytocin. One is uterus and second one is mammary gland. So, what is the role of oxytocin on uterus means here? It induces strong contractions and plays an important role in parturition. It induces parturition by means of strong contractions here. And next, what is the action of oxytocin on mammary gland? On mammary gland here, it induces milk ejection. Here also it induces strong contractions and it leads to milk ejection. Here parturition as well as milk ejection. For their role, the oxytocin is also known as birth hormone. Why it is known as birth hormone means because it plays an important role in parturition process. And next, the same hormone, it is also known as milk ejecting hormone also. Milk ejecting hormone. These two are the different names of oxytocin. Next, vasopressin. Role of vasopressin is, this vasopressin, it acts on renal tubules. It acts on renal tubules and increases the reabsorption of water. So, this type of reabsorption is known as conditional reabsorption here. So, vasopressin especially releases during low levels of water content in the body, and it acts on renal tubules and increases the reabsorption of water from the filtrate. From the filtrate, so that it decreases the urine output or urine flow, that is known as diuresis. It decreases diuresis or it prevents diuresis here, and the name is known as antidiuretic hormone. Okay. So, what is antidiuretic hormone means? It prevents diuresis here. It prevents diuresis. It prevents diuresis and it plays an important role in water balance in the body. Here one deficiency symptom is there for ADH. Hyposecretion causes hyposecretion of ADH causes a disorder called diabetes insipidus. Called diabetes insipidus. What is diabetes insipidus means? Where the person will having a loss of water because he is going to excrete large amounts of dilute urine and it leads to dehydration condition here. So why that dehydration condition is caused? Mainly due to deficiency of ADH. Yes, that's all about this pituitary gland hormones. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, beta. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing well. So, yesterday we started hybridization, right? And we have seen how to find hybridization using the two techniques, using structure and using the formalizer, right? And we discussed about the theoretical points also. What is the actual meaning of hybridization and which orbitals can intermix to do hybridization, and what are the characteristics of the hybrid orbitals formed, right? So now we will discuss about some of the important points of VSEPR theory, valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Okay, I will not write all the points here as it is a warm-up session, but the points from which you can solve your questions. Okay, so let us see. So VSEPR theory. Okay, it is valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. Okay, so a molecule will exist in which shape, or I will say which geometry. It depends. It depends on the central element is having how many sigma bonds and how many lone pairs. So element will arrange its bonds and its lone pairs in such a way that where it can minimize the repulsion. Getting my point? If I am having, imagine just for example, if imagine atom A is having two bonds, so definitely if it will put its bond like this, or it have one option, it can put its bond like this, A and here. So if this central atom A is putting its lone pair like this, right, one here, so in this case repulsion is what? Minimum, because these bond pair, or I will say electron pairs, are at a large distance from each other, so they will not repel each other. But here these bonds pair, you know, the bond pair is made up of what? Electrons, or I can say electron pair. These will repel. So why? This molecule will exist in this shape, not in this shape, because in this case repulsion is minimum. So this theory is telling us to minimize the repulsions to get the maximum stability. How? A molecule, or how the central atom will adjust its bond pairs and lone pairs so that it will arrange, or it will get a structure where repulsion can be minimized, right? So I am writing some important points, then we will start the table. First thing is, who will decide? Number of sigma bonds and lone pairs. Number of sigma bonds and lone pairs will decide the shape, or you can say geometry of molecule, right? Clear? Now you see, central atom will arrange its electron pairs. Its electron pairs means what? Bond pairs and lone pairs. So central atom will arrange its electron pairs and, okay, you can say electron pairs means bond pairs as well as lone pairs in such a way that repulsion can be minimized, because all electron pairs are made up of electrons definitely, and they are negative charge, so they will repel each other. So we'll arrange in such a way that where repulsion can be minimized. Okay, clear? And one more point I am writing here, there are many points. There are many points to write here. But I am writing the few important points only so that we can understand the topic. The details we will see in our offline classes. So, if I see the repulsion order, which electron pairs repel more to each other? Repulsion order is very important. Like lone pair will repel the other lone pair very highly, like very high repulsion here. Then the repulsion between lone pair and bond pair, and then you will see between the bond pair and bond pair, right? So this is the repulsion order, right? Lone pair will repel more in comparison to bond pair. You can see from here the maximum repulsion pair where in lone pair, then lone pair, then bond pair, bond pair. Getting my point, right? Clear? So now I will make the table. Using the table, you can find the shape of the molecules, right? So first of all, okay, I hope you have done up to here. Okay, fine, I am taking the new one. So here you will see, here I will write serial number, here I will write type, right? Here I will say the number of sigma bonds on our central atom, number of sigma bonds. Here we have number of sigma bonds. So done, it is number of lone pairs, right? LP means lone pair, right? Here I am writing the electronic arrangement. Right, it is electronic arrangement. Here we can see the shape. Okay, and here we can take example. Okay, clear? We have learnt already that how we can find our central atom is making how many sigma bond, how many pi bond, and how many lone pair will left, right? So if I take the first example, imagine our central atom A is having 2 sigma bonds. B means I am saying bond pair, and in shape deciding sigma bonds are important. Okay, so AB2 means I am trying to say here A is making 2 sigma bonds here. Okay, A is making 2 sigma bonds. Okay, so I am writing here A is the center atom is having 2 sigma bonds, 0 lone pair, right? So you will see it will make an arrangement linear. Shape also I will say linear. I will tell you the difference here. What is the difference in these two things? Shape is linear. Example, you can say, I can take example BeCl2. Okay. If I take example BeCl2, right? So if I want to form BeCl2, I am writing here. Okay, so that we can continue our table. Beryllium is having 2 valence electrons, right? Beryllium is having 2 valence electrons, and you see there are 2 chlorine atoms as surrounding atoms. So beryllium will use both of its valence electrons in making a bond with chlorine, because we know chlorine makes single bond. After making 2 bonds, there is no valence electron left on beryllium, so there is no lone pair. So yes, it is perfect example for this type. Our central atom is having 2 sigma bonds without any lone pair. So whenever our central atom have 2 sigma bonds without lone pair, then it will be linear. You can see the shape also linear, right? If you see, what is the bond angle here? The bond angle is 180 degree. The bond angle is 180 degree. Fine, clear? The next thing, we are moving ahead. The next thing is second. If I take bacha, the second is I am taking A here, and this is AB3. Okay, AB3 means, this means I am saying our center atom is making 3 sigma bonds without any lone pair, and the electronic arrangement here you will see the trigonal planar. The electronic arrangement is trigonal planar, right? Shape also is trigonal planar. Okay, the shape also is trigonal planar. Fine. Example we can see. Example is AlCl3, or you can take BCl3. Fine. Boron. Boron is having 3 valence electrons, right? If I try to draw the structure, boron is having 3 valence electrons, and as you can see, chlorine are the surrounding atom I am putting here. We know halogens in surrounding positions will make how many bonds? 1 bond. So if chlorine is forming, it's a single bond. So after making 3 bonds, boron's valence electrons are finished. There is no valence electron remaining. So there is no lone pair. So it is the case when our center atom have 3 sigma bonds and 0 lone pair. So in this case, it will arrange its bonds, or I will say electron pairs, in such a way that repulsion can be minimized. And the best way is to put the electron pairs in trigonal planar shape. Okay. In this you will see the bond angle here is how much? 120 degree. Clear? Right? The next case, yes, very good beta. Very good, Charan. Right. The next case, if I say beta, is third case. Here I am saying it is A, B to L. B to L means it is having 2 sigma bonds and 1 lone pair. AB to L means, what is it? 2 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. So I am having 2 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. You will see the electronic arrangement will remain same. I am writing in short, it is TP, trigonal planar. Electronic arrangement will remain TP only in this case also. What that means I will tell you, but the shape, you will see, the shape become bent. The shape will become bent. Okay, the shape become bent. Example you can take here definitely. If I take example, SO2 can be the best example for this, SO2. If I go for SO2, you see carefully, sulfur is having 6 valence electrons, right? Oxygen in neutral state will make how many bonds? 2 bonds. Double here, right? After making 4 bonds, how many electron pairs left? 2. So 2 electron pair means, 2 valence electrons means what? 1 lone pair. So in this case you can see it is having 1 lone pair and 2 sigma bonds. I am not considering here pi bond because pi bond will not decide the shape. Pi bond will not decide the shape. So 1 lone pair and 2 sigma bond, right? You can see here 2 sigma bond, 1 lone pair. Electronic arrangement is trigonal planar. But shape is what? Bent. So we have to understand what is difference here in these things. Up to here it was same, na? So no issue was coming. But now we have to understand. Actually, when you say electronic arrangement, then you will see you are looking at lone pair also and bond pairs also. Here lone pair, here bond pair, here bond pair. It is lone pair I am looking at lone pairs as well as bond pairs. So the arrangement of these are trigonal planar. But when you look at only bond pairs, when you are talking about shape, then you will not look at lone pair, only you will see the bond pairs. So if I cover this part, if I cover the lone pair, how it looks? It looks bent. So this alone thing is bent, whereas this whole thing is what? Trigonal planar. In electronic arrangement, I am showing all things, like we are looking at lone pair also, bond pair, so it is trigonal planar. Whereas in shape, we are looking only at what? Bond pair. So it looks like what only? Bent. Okay? Clear? This is the difference between the shape and the electronic arrangement. Fine? Clear? Yes, Charan beta. Yes, Charan. You see, actually, logically, geometry is different thing and shape is different thing. But in many books, if you see, they are giving same also. In many modules also, whenever they ask something, they always give answer of what? Shape. Sometimes they ask geometry, they ask geometry or structure or shape. All the time they are giving same answer for all of these. I will come to that. Part. Like for this, if they ask what is the shape or structure or geometry, you can go for which one? You can go for bent. Okay? But actually geometry is name of electronic arrangement. But as in every book, everywhere they are writing geometry and shape same. So in my opinion, when you are going for the NEET exam, you answer shape, geometry, structure as same things. If they ask electronic arrangement, then you go for different, like this thing. Because NCERT is mentioning, they are not writing geometry here, they are writing what? Electronic arrangement. Getting my point? Yes, Charan? Are we clear now? If they ask, if in this case, imagine in this case, if they ask structure, geometry or shape, you go for bent. If they ask electronic arrangement, then go for which one? Trigonal, planar. Okay? Clear? Because what happened in NCERT, they are writing shape and in that bracket they are writing geometry. Okay? So that's why I am telling you. Or you see the books, there also they are writing this. Some confusion they have created, but in my opinion, you should go for shape, geometry, structure same, and electronic arrangement is different. By the NCERT I am saying, okay? That's what. They are actually, if you see the NEET questions also, they are creating confusion in that also. Okay? They are not clarifying when to answer, we should take geometry or shape different or we should take them as same. Okay, they have given two previous year questions in that they are not clarifying what we should take, they are confusing only. Okay, but in most of the cases I have seen, I am telling according to that part. Okay, right? Okay, fine. So now it is A, B to L. Okay, done. Now next thing, if I say fourth one, sorry, next part, I think 2-1 is done. Now fourth part I am taking beta, it is AB4. Right? AB4, that means our center atom making 4 sigma bonds and 0 what? Lone pair. 4 sigma bonds, 0 lone pair. So definitely the electronic arrangement is tetrahedral. Okay? And shape is also tetrahedral. As there is no lone pair, so in such cases electronic arrangement and shape will be same only. Clear? So example, you can take the best example is CH for the simplest one. Okay? If you see the carbon, yes, the carbon is having carbon is center atom, and you know it have 4 valence electrons. It will make here what? 4 bonds. It will make here 4 bonds. So in this case, our center atom have 4 sigma bonds without any lone pair. Fine, clear? So in such case, you will see this become tetrahedral. And if I say the bond angle in such case is what? 109 degree 28 minutes. Clear? If I am talking here also, I will talk about the bond angle. Actually, as all were here bond pairs, so the repulsions are same. So bond angle is what? 120 everywhere. This is also 120, 120, 120. But when I am talking about SO2, this lone pair, bond pair repulsion is more. So these bond pair will come closer to each other because they are running away from lone pair, because lone pair is repelling them more. So if by chance they ask here the bond angle, so it will be less than 120. Less chance to ask. But yes, whenever there is lone pair, the bond angle decrease. Okay, here the bond angle was 120, but here bond angle become what? Less than 120, because lone pair repel more than bond pairs. They will come close, these will come close, but will try to run from this bond angle, or I will say this is lone pair. Fine, getting the point, right? So this is it. Now the next thing I will take, I think we are clear up to here. The next part is okay. The fifth one, if I take beta, the fifth one is it's A, B, 3E or AB, 3L, I will say. It means it is having 3 sigma bonds, 1 lone pair. The electronic arrangement will be tetrahedral, there is no doubt. Electronic arrangement is still tetrahedral. But if we go to the next part, shape become pyramidal, very, very important. Shape become pyramidal, right? And here you will see, example, you can take ammonia. The best example is ammonia. Fine. The example is ammonia. Fine, beta. Next you will see, very good. If I draw the structure of ammonia, okay, here I am drawing. Ammonia nitrogen is having five valence electrons. Out of 5, if I put here 3 hydrogens as surrounding atom, so after making 1 bond, 2 electrons left becomes 1 lone pair. So same case, I am having 3 bond pair, 1 lone pair. Okay, so shape become what? Pyramidal. But electronic arrangement is what? Tetrahedral. How I am saying this again? When I am talking about electronic arrangement, I am looking at the bond pairs as well as what? Lone pair. So it likes, there are 4 things. It looks like it is having 4 things. So 4 things means it is tetrahedral. 1 upside, 3 downside, like this one, right? But when I am talking about the shape, in shape I will cover the lone pair. I will not look at the lone pair. Okay. So the remaining 3 things, you can imagine like a stand of 3 legs. 1 leg from here, 1 from here, 1 from here. So the remaining part after covering the lone pair, it looks like what? It looks like a pyramid. That's why what you call it? Pyramidal, right? In CH4, the bond angle was 109 degree because all were the bond pairs. But in this case, you will see as one is lone pair, so lone pair will repel more. So bond pairs will come little close to each other. That's why the theta here become 107 degree, less than the tetrahedral angle that was 109 degree 28 minutes. Fine, very good. The next thing if I say is 6-1. Here we have it's AB2L2. What that means? 2 bond pair, 2 lone pair, right? The 2 bond pair, 2 sigma bonds I am saying, and 2 lone pair. So in this case, electronic arrangement is same, the tetrahedral. But if you look at the shape, it become what? Again I will say it become bent, you can say, or angular, you can say. Right? The best example is what? Water. The best example is water, you can take. Okay? In water you will see O is present here. O will make what? 2 bonds with hydrogen. Okay? And after making 2 bonds, how many valence electrons remaining? 4 valence electrons remaining. If 4 valence electrons are remaining, means what? 2 lone pairs. So if you cover the lone pairs, the remaining thing is like bent. Okay? So in this case, you will see the bond angle. Yes, the bond angle is almost I can say it is 104.5 degree. Okay, it's almost value 104.5 degree. Clear? Definitely less than 109 because lone pairs are repelling more. Clear, bacha? Right. Next thing, if you go to the next one, if you go to the 5th one, so 7th one. So in this case, if I am having A here, it's a B, what? It's A, B5, 5 bonds, all 5 sigma bonds, there is no lone pair. So the electronic arrangement is what? Trigonal bipyramidal. And the shape is also what? Trigonal bipyramidal. So here you will see the best example is which one? PCl5. You can take example PCl5. If I put the phosphorus in center, phosphorus have 5 valence electrons. And as given there are 5 chlorines. So if I put chlorine in surrounding, you will see every chlorine will make what? Single bond. After making 5 bonds, phosphorus have nothing left as valence electrons. So there is no lone pair. So phosphorus here, center atom is having 5 sigma bonds only and there is no lone pair. So when there is 1 center atom is having 5 sigma bonds but no lone pair. So in that case you will say it will have trigonal bipyramidal shape or trigonal bipyramidal geometry of, you can say, electronic arrangement as well, right? Again, clear. 8th part if I say, we are having here A, B, 4, L. So 4 sigma bonds and 1 lone pair, right? So electronic arrangement is still what? Trigonal bipyramidal, but the shape will change. The shape becomes seesaw. I am telling once again, in shape we do not look at the lone pairs. Yes, very good, right? You will see what we have here, AB4L. So what do we have? Example, we can take which one? SF4. S is having how many valence electrons? 6 valence electrons. I will put 4 fluorines in surrounding. So with fluorine, you know, it will make what? Single bonds. After making 4 bonds, 2 electrons are still left. So it will make a lone pair here, right? Okay, so it looks like seesaw. The you have played on the seesaw definitely in childhood, which goes upside down, right? It will actually seesaw. Next thing, if you come the ninth one, if I say we are having here what? A, B, 3L2. This time there are 3 sigma bonds and 2 lone pair. Electronic arrangement same, trigonal bipyramidal, but the shape will change. The shape is T shape, right? The shape is T shape. Example, you can take ClF3, interhalogen compound. This is ClF3. Right. Clear? In case of ClF3, you will see beta, chlorine have 7 valence electrons and here we have 3 fluorines. So definitely chlorine will make single bond with fluorines. Okay, and out of 7 valence electrons, 3 used in making bonds. So 4 are remaining. The 4 electrons remaining will make what? 2 lone pairs, right? So 2 lone pairs, 3 sigma bonds means which shape it will exist? In T shape, right? So this is our T shape. I hope we are clear here, right? The next thing is 10th one. Here I am taking the center atom is having 2 sigma bonds and 3 lone pair. 2 sigma bond and 3 lone pair. I will say the electronic arrangement is trigonal bipyramidal, and this time you will see the shape become linear. Okay, so I am drawing XCF2 here. Imagine this is XC. Okay, example is XCF2 here, and we make the shape of XCF2. Xenon have 8 valence electrons, right? And now if I put the surrounding elements, fluorine will make how many bonds? 1 bond definitely. 1 here. So xenon used its 2 valence electrons in making 2 bonds. Remaining 6 electrons will make 3 lone pair, right? So you will see the xenon is having here how many lone pair? 3 lone pair. Getting my point? So xenon is having 3 lone pair, 2 bond pair, and you will see the shape is which one? Linear. Electronic arrangement is trigonal bipyramidal, but the shape is linear. How? If we cover the lone pairs, we can see this arrangement is what? Linear only. So shape is what? Linear. Okay, I hope we are clear here. Yes, Charan, you are doing well. Good. Fine. Now the next thing I am taking the 11th one. I hope you are clear. So please finish up to here. Okay, which are done, right? The next thing you will see again. Now, okay, 10 we have done, na? 11th we are coming. Okay, before starting the next one, I will tell you one more thing. Okay. Remember, whenever you are discussing the trigonal bipyramidal electronic arrangement, and if lone pair is coming in that arrangement, so lone pair will come at equatorial positions. Like look at this. If this is our, we know this is a trigonal bipyramidal, but there is no lone pair, right? This is trigonal bipyramidal electronic arrangement. Shape is what? Shape is what here? Shape is definitely seesaw. You see the lone pair I am putting at which location? Equatorial. I am not putting lone pair on axial position. So be careful. If you look at this, these 3 are equatorial positions. These 3 are equatorial positions. So I am putting the lone pair at which position? Equatorial position. Be careful. Okay, in TBP electronic arrangement, whenever lone pair is coming, so put it on equatorial positions, not on axial. These locations are known as what? Axial, upside down side. Okay, same here. Same here, if you see this in this TBP electronic arrangement, I am putting the lone pairs at which location? At equatorial. I am not putting lone pairs on axial locations to minimize the repulsions. Okay, details we will see later. Clear? So please remember this point. Now the next thing is 11th one. If I say now our center element is having six. Our center element is having six bonds, 6 sigma bonds. So 6 sigma bonds, no lone pair, right? What will be the electronic arrangement? Octahedral. Octahedral is our electronic arrangement, and here you will see the shape also octahedral. Electronic arrangement and shape will be same when there is no lone pair, right? Example we can take, very simple example, SF6. Okay, best example. If we look for SF6, so sulfur is having 6 valence electrons and we are having 6 fluorine atoms also, right? You know, fluorine as a surrounding element makes single bond. So all fluorine will make single bond, right? In making 6 bonds, all these valence electrons of sulfur are used. Nothing left. So only we have 6 bonds on center atom and 0 lone pair. So it is octahedral. Clear? Or sometimes you can call it square bipyramidal. So octahedral you can call it. Okay, octahedral word is fine, or you can call it square bipyramid. So both are same thing. Okay, don't confuse if you see somewhere this word. Octahedral or square bipyramidal are same things, right? The next thing, if I go, the next thing is 12th one. In this case, you can take here A is there, A, B, 5, L. Means 5 sigma bonds, but what? 1 lone pair. So definitely electronic arrangement is same. Why? Because total things are same, na? Okay, electronic arrangement thing is same here. Why? Because total things same, 6. Total things how many? 6, right? Now in this case the shape will change. The shape becomes this time square pyramidal. Shape is square pyramidal this time, right? Example we can take, like we can take BRF5. In BRF5 you see the bromine is having 7 valence electrons, right? So bromine is making single bond with every fluorine, right? How many remaining? 2 valence electrons still remaining. So these will become a lone pair. Okay, so you will see we are having a square. We are having a square here, right? One side we have pyramid because one side we have fluorine, but the other side is the lone pair. So if we cover the lone pair, so we will see pyramid is only on one side. So it is just square pyramid. But in this case, pyramid was downside as well as upside. Okay. If you want to little imagine this thing, look at this carefully. Imagine this is your square. This is our square. Definitely all are 3D things, little tough to imagine. In regular classes, we will see 3D animations also and everything, right? So you will see if I connect, just I'm showing you, if I connect these square fluorines with this fluorine, these are not bonds, just imagination. So it will make a pyramid upside. Why we call this as octahedral? Because oct means 8. And when you will make this type of pyramid, you will see it will have 8 faces. That's why we call it octahedral. Sometimes students have confusion, sir, here so we are having only 6 surrounding atoms. Why still we are calling it octahedral? So when you will make this complete pyramid and you will imagine that much, then you will see it will have 8 faces. 4 faces upside and 4 faces where? Downside. So because of 8 faces, what we call it? Octahedral, right? In this case, pyramid is where only? Downside, okay? So if I just, it is imagination, there are no bonds here, it is imagination only. This looks like pyramid, downside pyramid, upside is only lone pair, okay, that's why square pyramidal. Whereas if you go next one, if you go for 13th one, right, it is your A, B, 4 and L2, means 4 sigma bonds, 2 lone pair. What is it? Tell me. This is the electronic arrangement, still what? Octahedral. Clear? And this time you will see it become square planar. We will see example as well. The example you can take here is XCF4. The example is XCF4, right? Clear? If you go for this, xenon is having 8 valence electrons. Okay, fine. We are putting 4 fluorines in surrounding. Every fluorine makes single bond. How many electrons remaining? Out of 8, 4 are used. 4 are remaining. It will make what? Lone pair. Clear? So 4 sigma bonds and 4 what? Sorry, 4 sigma bonds and 2 lone pair. So 4 and 2, right? This time you can see upside downside we have lone pair only. But in the shape, so we don't look at lone pairs. We look only at what? Bond pairs. So it looks like what? Planar thing. Upside lone pair, downside lone pair. So remaining thing is what? Planar. All the atoms are present in single plane. So we call it planar. Clear? I hope we are clear. Right? Square, planar. Right. Right, very good, beta. Seven, doing good. Clear? Next thing is, if you look at, I can take the 14th one. You can take A, B7, right? Means our central atom is having 7 sigma bonds and there is no lone pair, right? So its electronic arrangement is trigonal bipyramidal. Electronic arrangement is trigonal, pentagonal bipyramidal, and shape also is what? Pentagonal bipyramidal. And the example is here IF7, right? It is IF7. Fine. If you see, iodine is having 7 valence electrons, and if I will put 7 fluorines, so definitely every fluorine will make single bond at least, because fluorine to make as surrounding atom, it make how much? Single bond always. Okay, so it is making like here, it's a pentagon type of structure, and upside pyramid, downside pyramid. So it is pentagonal bipyramid. Clear? Okay, so we will see some more examples and we will do more practice in tomorrow class, like XCF6, distorted octahedral, and some more examples we will see in tomorrow class. Okay, so I hope this will help you. So you see the sequence. First you should know how to make the structure, like center element will have how many sigma bonds, pi bonds and lone pair. Then using those points you can find easily hybridization and easily you can find the shape also. So in this week what we have done up to now, how to find structure, means the central element is making how many bonds or how many lone pairs. From there you can find your hybridization also, and you can find the shape or electronic arrangement as well. Okay, bacha? Okay, then bye. Tomorrow we will see the examples to do practice of this topic. Okay, bye everyone. See you. Yes, I will discuss the distorted octahedral in tomorrow class. Fine. XCF6. Clear? Okay, bye.